Hello, I'm Delusion Dispeller, and today I'm going to talk to you about a phenomenon of narcissistic abuse known as cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when you're thinking about two conflicting thoughts, such as, I know I should leave, but everything in me wants to stay, or also a situation in which you're going against your own beliefs, such as, I believe it's wrong to steal, but I find myself continuing to tap into her bank account. Those are just two examples that I can think of. I'm sure you can come up with many more. There are ways that victims cope with feeling cognitive dissonance. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of these ways, but also about some situations you may encounter in a narcissistic relationship. Emotionally, people stay in relationships for many reasons. Some people just believe the till death do us part statement and will stick it out until the very bitter end of time, no matter what abuse occurs. Sometimes people stay because they're scared to death that if they leave, the perpetrator will harm or even kill them. And in some cases, this is true, especially in the case of psychotic killers. People might believe, as I did, that they could not make it on their own without the abuser in their life. Often victims will tell themselves that the abuser doesn't always abuse them. It only happens once in a while. He didn't hit me that hard. She didn't kick me that hard. I only went to the hospital a few times. Most of the time it's not that bad. They might force themselves to mostly look at the abuser's good qualities, like, well, he bought me flowers, or she did the dishes on time. This is known as trauma bonding and Stockholm syndrome. When a victim has convinced themselves that the abuser can't help their behaviors due to their own childhood traumas, the abuser's childhood traumas, and that they can somehow help them heal by nurturing them long enough or allowing them to vent to them, sometimes they learn to internalize the abuser's behavior, and they internalize the reason that they're being abused, as if they did something to deserve it. The victim becomes enabling to the perpetrator, worrying that if they do something terrible, they will suffer the consequences, such as a fine, a prison, or death penalty, when actually you're not helping the abuser by enabling them. You're only allowing the abuse to continue and them never to get help. They think that if they can just help this poor soul along, eventually their relationship will be normal like they want, and they'll have the dream come true marriage or boyfriend-girlfriend relationship or whatever. Many people, including myself, do not get why victims stay with abusers. I mean, we get it, but yet we know that the best idea is for those types of relationships to end completely. The more we try to urge victims to leave, the more their abusers tighten the screws on them, insisting that they don't listen to us, because we don't know what we're talking about. We're just out to hurt them. They don't understand you the way I do, and that the victim would be nowhere without them in their court. The victim feels ashamed for staying in such a situation and begins to pull away from people even more, isolating themselves to the point that it is only them and their abuser in a very sick relationship. This, of course, allows the perpetrator even more control over them through an abusive cycle of abuse, and then increased abuse, no abuse, and back again to abuse. Coping in coupleship involves the abusive narcissist requiring excessive obedience of its victim, and the victim learns to invest every part of her or himself in pleasing the abusers. As time goes on, the victim is drained in many ways. Reflecting the narcissist and praising the narcissist becomes a full-time expectation of the narcissist, and if the victim ever stops giving that supply to the narcissist will pull away from him or her, which could cause the victim to feel abandoned, neglected, and scared. And many times the narcissist victims are people with borderline personality disorder, avoidant personality disorder, and even codependency issues. So therefore, they do everything they can to avoid losing the narcissist, which gives them more power in return. The narcissist will use this to their advantage, allowing them to manipulate this victim even more. While the victim is being ignored, the narcissist is also pulling away and withdrawing, and this results in the narcissist feeling as if they're not the wondrous giving creatures that they envision themselves to be and painted themselves as. And this causes a narcissistic injury to the narcissist, which then results in them becoming enraged at the victim, since they certainly were not responsible for the person pulling away or themselves pulling away, and therefore they will lash out at the victim, causing the victim future anxiety and intense anxiety. The narcissist sees his significant other, as well as any offspring of his or hers, as an extension of him or herself, which means that very high demands will be placed on children and spouse, insisting that they make him or her, the narcissist, look good. This can result in people having type A personalities, always feeling like they have to stay busy or look busy and please other people, to a point of losing themselves. This is a no-win situation in which the victims do their best to be perfect, but when they do succeed at things, the narcissist will be envious of them, and when they don't succeed, the narcissist sees this as something personal against him or herself and will punish the victim for it. Narcissists control people with money, using it as a reward, a bribe system, and a point of keeping a tab on others. Narcissists will create dependency through finances on his or her victims, keeping them away from being able to get out of the abusive situation due to not having bus fare, gas money, and even counseling payments for a counselor. Narcissists often will not pay bills on time, allow utilities to be shut off, computer access to be removed, and even causing people to go without food and water and basic needs. Since these are the basic needs of most people, withholding them is another way the narcissist will exert domination over its victims. Narcissists invest their time, talents, and funds in situations that will result in them having material possessions, accolades, a big name in society, well-known, notoriety even, that if these things were lost by the victim, if this woman or man living in this cushy surrounding these wealthy homes, whatever, has to leave that person, they are thinking, how am I going to live? How will I live without all these luxuries? I've only ever known this life of luxury. In other words, a victim becomes accustomed to a wealthy lifestyle or a certain situation where if he or she left, that would no longer be their case, due to having to live in shelters or some sort of maybe substandard situation, or at least a different situation than what they're accustomed to. And lastly, narcissists are grandiose and unable to truly be intimate in relationships. They see themselves as not needing anyone else that much, so therefore having no need to form a bond with a partner that's genuine, or with anyone else. He or she also believes themselves to be better than who they are with, and not in any way comparable or equal to them. The reason that a narcissist cannot fully engage in relationships is that they are still carrying their subconscious issues with their parents, basically. They are never allowing themselves to be mistreated again by the people like their parents mistreated them. They do not know how to embrace their negative feelings about what happened in their childhood, so they avoid getting close to people, which leaves them actually feeling a void in themselves, and they continue to try to fill this void by switching people into and out of their lives, replacing one person with another person, one situation with another. Sexuality to the narcissist is merely a physical thing. It does not include emotions, it does not include intimacy like it does for their unfortunate victim. And this is why a narcissistic partner often feels like an object during sexual activity. Hopefully some of this answered some questions for those of you that are in relationships with narcissists. Why he can't seem to bond with me, why he doesn't connect, why I feel like an object, why I don't feel that closeness that I thought marriage or relationships should have. Thanks for listening. I hope this did answer some questions, and please feel free to write me at delusiondispeller@gmail.com. God bless you all, and I hope to hear from you soon. Have a great day. Bye.